Hello everybody, welcome back to my March wrap up. I'm super excited to do this video because I've never done a wrap up before, and basically I've got 7 or 8 books to show you that I read in March, and not all of these I'll be doing reviews for, so I thought I still want to talk about them, so I'll do a wrap up. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So yeah, let's just get right into it, no need to blabber on. The first book that I read, well, I finished in March because I started it in February. It took me forever to read this book. It was A Love Letters to the Dead by Ava DeLaria. And I have got a review up of this book. I give this book 3 stars. Like I said, it was a while ago since I read it. Now it's at the beginning of March I finished it, but I didn't enjoy it too much. I definitely thought I was going to enjoy it more than I did. But like I said, I did do a full review on it. I was throughout the book, there was points when I thought I was going to give it 2.5, but the end just really kind of pulled through for me. I did really enjoy the end and the way that it all concluded and some of the messages that it gave, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. So yes, it's, I don't know, I won't go into too much detail on this one because like I say, I have done a review on it, but overall it was probably my least favourite that I read this month, which is unfortunate because I really, really wanted to enjoy this book. But yeah, I didn't absolutely hate it, I just didn't enjoy it a whole ton. So yeah, that's Love Letters to the Dead. The next book I read was Legend by Marie Lu, and this one I really enjoyed. This is dystopian, another kind of dystopian tale. And the next one in the series is Prodigy, which I still need to pick up, and I'm really looking forward to it because I definitely want to know where the series is going to go. So I do want to read Prodigy and Champions soon, which are the next 2 books. It's a trilogy. And yeah, this was just a little really, really quick dystopian read, and I gave this book 4 stars. I enjoyed it, but I don't know, I had a few problems with it here or there, but nothing massive. The end, I was like, oh, I was really excited by the end of it, for sure. But then there were some parts which I felt could have had, a little bit more detailing and the world and stuff. But, there's 2 more books, so hopefully I'll get kind of what I wanted from those. But I did do a review of this one as well, so again, I won't go into massive depths on it. But overall, I enjoyed it. I've heard massive hypes of stuff about this, so I definitely knew I wanted to pick it up. And I feel like because I'd heard so much good stuff about it, I enjoyed it. Like, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, but I still really, really enjoyed it. It just, I wasn't my favourite dystopian series, whereas I know a lot of people, this is kind of one of their favourites. But yeah, so I did enjoy it. I did have a fun time with it. It just didn't kind of quite jump up to the hype that I'd heard about it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. The characters were great. It was dual perspective, and I really, really liked that in this book. It was done really well. So yeah, Legend by Marie Lu. Okay, now on to the books that I haven't reviewed. I've not reviewed any of these. And the next one is Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler. This book I loved. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I completely got sucked into the world and the characters with this one. I do want to do a full review on this book because I enjoyed it so much. I have a lot to say. But basically, if you haven't read this book, I think everybody should read this book because I think it's kind of something everybody can enjoy. Because, I'll tell you, I'm not really a fan of books that are really centred around relationships. I don't know, I just don't find them as interesting, I don't find them as exciting. And this book is a book centred around a relationship. And obviously, you kind of know the outcome of the relationship, but it's told throughout different stories of the relationship through these images here, which are really, really lovely, and they're throughout, and that's kind of each chapter, and then a story goes along with it, and she's given back this box of stuff. So it's told in a really interesting, unique way, but it's just told so well. I just felt like I was there, and I just enjoyed it so much. Yeah, I read this book really quickly. I just really, really enjoyed it, and I think it's a book as well that in the future I would reread because I just had such a good time reading it. The writing was just fantastic. If you don't know, Daniel Handler is Lemony Snicket, so yes, I was, been reading the series of Unfortunate Events, and I kind of was like, yeah, I want to read something else by him under his other name, so I picked up this one. I'm so glad that I did. I feel like if it wouldn't have been Daniel Handler and I just looked at this book, well, then again, it is a rather pretty looking book, but apart from that, the story, I wouldn't have been as intrigued in the story, so I'm so glad that I picked it up for that reason and enjoyed it so much. So yes, I definitely recommend this one. This is a high recommend from me, and I will be doing a full review on it because I just enjoyed it so much. So yes, that's Why We Broke Up. The next one is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So everybody was raving about this book. Everyone was saying, oh my gosh, you got to read this book, you got to go into it not knowing anything, and I was like, right, I need to read this book then. So I actually asked for it for Christmas, so yeah, it took me a little while to get around to read it, and look, it's really short. I read this in one day, in one sitting, because look, it's really tiny. So you can read this really quick, and I definitely recommend reading it. I obviously won't give too much away because everybody says, you know, go into it blind, which I did do. And the first 30 pages, I was really, really sucked in. I loved the way it was written, I loved what was going on, I loved the story, I loved the premise, because I knew nothing going into this, and I was like loving it. And then it did trail off a little bit for me, and I wasn't sure if I was enjoying the main character. I was like, don't know about you. And, you know, I carried on. I was still enjoying the writing style and the world that it was in and things like that, and the other characters. I just wasn't sure on the main character. But then, obviously, you know, things took a turn and I was like, wow. But I wasn't completely blown away, but I was still like, wow. And I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. But like I say, I had a few problems with it, so that's why I didn't give it 4.5 or 5. But it was just, mostly for me, but again, I can't really say too much because I definitely don't want to give it away, because I know a lot of people try and really keep it low on what, you know, what this book's about, so everyone can go into it and be surprised, which I did, and I really was happy I did that, so I definitely don't want to give anything away for you. But basically, if you haven't read this book, everybody really enjoys it, and it is really short, so I definitely recommend you pick it up and read it. I think it's a great read. You'll have a fun time with it, and I had such a fun time reading it. Plus, as well, I really enjoyed that the chapters, I bet I won't be able to find an example now, the chapters, so like look, that page, chapter 10, and then the next page, chapter 11, the chapters are super, super short together, and that kind of, I really liked that, how it helped the pacing, like it was like, could change up a little bit every now and then. I just really enjoyed that. But yeah, this book surprised me, and I was shocked at points, but it just did it. I didn't like I've been shocked more at other things, I don't know, but anyway, I really enjoyed it overall. 4 stars, really great book. The next book, Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. I don't know how I forgot that right then. Hunger Games is my favourite dystopian series. I know that everybody like loves it, it's really overhyped, and I don't know, but I just love it. I remember so clearly, I think it was 2012, and it was maybe cold outside. Don't know if it was beginning of 2012 then or the end, because it's always a bit cold here. And I was reading Catching Fire. And I remember like taking it to work with me and reading bits on my lunch break, because I was so excited to find out what was going to happen. And I never really take books out of the house, I'm kind of more of an inside reader, but with that one I did, and I don't know, so the series, I just love it. Anyway, so I give this 5 stars, I give them all 5 stars, but yes, but the Blu-ray of Mockingjay came out in March, so yes, Mockingjay, you know, many things I could say about it, but I wouldn't want to spoil it in case you haven't read it. The next one that I read was Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. Now, I'd only read one Agatha Christie book previous to this one, and that was And Then There Were None, which I absolutely loved. I gave 4.5 stars. But this one I did enjoy, and I enjoyed the kind of outcome, you know, it's a murder mystery type of thing. But I ended up giving it 3.5 because I wasn't as engaged with it. I didn't really care for the characters as much. The whole actual murder, I wasn't really that bothered, because I can't, again, it's one of the books you can't give things away, but you know, there's obviously a murder, and the person who was murdered, well, for me personally, I didn't really care for, so the kind of unravelling of it, I was like, because I don't know, I didn't have any empathy for the character who was murdered, and a lot for the other people as well, so I found that my connection with the people on this one was quite distant, whereas in the other one I kind of connected with the people more, and I was kind of excited to find out what was going to happen and who essentially the murderer was. But with this one, I just didn't feel that excitement and that rush to find out who had done it and what had happened. But I did really enjoy the way the book was split up. Basically, it kind of had the story at the beginning, and then it kind of had the evidence where each person tells the evidence, and then it had kind of the more thoughts on it. It was split up, does it say at the beginning? I think it does. It's like, yeah, it's the facts, the evidence, and then it's kind of the conclusion. So it's split up into parts like that, which I really enjoyed, I really liked it. I definitely will read more Agatha Christie. But this one, just for me, just didn't blow me away, because I just couldn't connect with the people. I don't know if that's a thing, but I just didn't feel any sympathy for the guy. Not sympathy, like, yeah, for the guy. I was just like, yeah. So yeah, it was kind of a problem, but then I did like the end, but I did have some problems with it. But again, obviously not going to give the end away. But yeah, this is a very popular Agatha Christie book. But I feel like I'm going to enjoy other ones more than this. So yes, this one I did enjoy, and I gave 3.5 stars. That was 4, 3.5 stars. but I think because I read And Then There Were None before this and I absolutely loved it, this one kind of fell a little bit short for me because I was expecting maybe too much. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. Like I say, if you enjoyed Agatha Christie and you haven't read this one, you know, I'd recommend it. I liked that it was in one space. It was like on the train, and you know, it was just that kind of one little place. I enjoy like, you know, especially murder mysteries set in one place, because then you kind of feel like you can't get out and stuff, so I really enjoyed that. And I'll definitely be picking up more Agatha Christie, so yeah, that's that one. And next, I read The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. I haven't read anything by Cassandra Clare because I'm not really into the Mortal Instruments thing, but Holly Black, I have read some books by her, and this one I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars. It did have a few problems with it, but the ending, I was like, yes, I was so kind of, I'm so excited for the next book. Basically, I thought this book was going to go in one certain direction. I was like, yeah, this is going to happen. I was enjoying it. I love the world in this book. It's about magic and kind of magical elements. That's how the magic's told in this book. And, you know, I was enjoying the characters. I was really loving the world and the magic. But I was kind of predicting that it was going to go a certain way. So I was kind of, oh, it's a bit predictable. And then, when it kind of didn't go necessarily the way I thought it was going to go, I was a bit miffed, actually. I was kind of like, oh, I thought that was going to happen, and it didn't. But then something else happened. I was like, I see why that didn't happen now, and I was so excited. So I definitely recommend reading this book, and if you're kind of maybe, I mean, the world is great, and it's always kind of action-packed, and I was enjoying it throughout, but the end was definitely my favourite bit about the book. But yeah, I really liked Havoc. If you've read the book, you'll know what that means. I really liked Havoc, and there was a lot of things I liked about it, but I did have a few problems here and there. So I kind of wish I could have given it 4.5, but like I said, the problems in the middle I had somewhere, I just kind of couldn't quite get past, but the ending, loved it. I'm really looking forward to the next one. And yeah, so I had such a fun time reading this book. It's definitely very fun. It's a middle grade, you know, magical fantasy book, the first in the series. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, I definitely recommend picking this one up, because I had a fun time reading it, and I definitely think it's so worth it for the ending that this book has. So yes, I really enjoyed it. So that's The Iron Trial. And the final book that I read was The Yelling Stones by Oscar Jensen, and I requested this book from Hotkey Books because it has the word Viking on the front, so I was like, yeah, Vikings. I had wanted to read more books about Vikings for a little while, and while it wasn't as Viking based as I thought it was going to be, I ended up really enjoying this. It was just so magical and fun and adventurous. It's a middle grade / children's book, and it was just fun. So basically, this is what kind of drew me towards it as well. It's set in Denmark, and it's based around a real place, and the stones that are mentioned in this book are real, and they are really there. So I found that really interesting. So it has some cool like historical facts in there as well, and I really liked that it was based in this real place with these real stones, and that bit of it I really enjoyed. Also, the book mentions Thor and Odin and Asgard. That made me excited every time. I was like, yes. But I did have a few little problems with it, which I feel like as a 21-year-old, the problems will be there, but as a younger reader, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like what this is kind of aimed towards, they wouldn't have these problems that I had. For example, the kind of place where they lived, the hall where they lived, I felt like wasn't overly described, so I found it really hard to imagine this place where they lived. But the outside world, I thought that was described great, and I could really imagine it when they were outside, but when they were in this place where they were staying and lived, I just couldn't really imagine it. I kind of wish that was just described a little bit better. And the main character I just didn't really get on with a lot, but the main boy character I loved. He was so much fun. I really loved him, but I will be doing a full review on this book, so yeah, I'll just kind of save some of my thoughts for that instead of giving them all away here. But overall, I enjoyed this. If you're kind of looking for a fun, mystical, with creatures, magical book, this was a great, fun, fast read, and especially as well, I think if I was younger, I would have loved this book. It reminded me of a book that I did read when I was younger, and it kind of just brought back that nostalgic feeling, and I just really enjoyed it. But it didn't feel like, when I was reading it, I didn't feel like, oh, this is just kind of a children's book. It felt more like something that everybody could enjoy, and like I say, it gave me that nostalgic feeling of when I would read books when I was younger. So overall, I just had a fun time reading it, and the magical and the creatures were really great. So yeah, I'm going to do a full review on this. I don't want to, again, go too much in depth with it and have nothing to say in my review. So that was all the books that I read in March. Let me know down in the comments below if you have read any of these books or what you read, and if you enjoyed this wrap-up type of style. I will try and do one for April as well at the beginning of May if you want me to. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!